Hi, I'm Kim and welcome back to my channel. A disappearing nine patch is a really easy, beginner friendly and very impressive looking block to do, and you can very quickly make up a quilt with this block. So let me switch screens and show you what a disappearing nine patch is, and then in this tutorial I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. So let's switch screen. So this here is a disappearing nine patch. It's called a disappearing nine patch because we start off with a basic 9-patch block, and then we cut it in a certain way to end up with this design. And when you've got a whole quilt made of disappearing 9-patch blocks, it is really impressive. So that's what we're going to end up with. Let me show you what you need to get started. So in order to make just one block, we need 4 squares. I've chosen 4 of a dark colour, so this is my blue here. So I've got 4. These are 5-inch squares I've cut here. So if you've got a charm pack, very easy to utilise the fabric in a charm pack. But I've got 4 5-inch squares there. I've got 4 of the lighter blue squares here with a slightly mottled design. So again, same size, 5-inch squares. I've got 4 of those. So that's 8 squares there, and then I've got 1 of these orange to give it a bit of a pop, which is a contrasting colour, so it goes nicely with the blue. I don't want it to be too heavy, so this is I've just got 1 square of this, so it can give this nice orange pop throughout an entire quilt if I was making this into a quilt. So we've got our squares here, and we would lay them out in a particular order. So I have chosen to make this particular layout here. I have put my dark blues either side of an orange centre panel, and I'm going to checkerboard the rest. So I'll put my lights in the corners. You can, of course, do it the other way around if you like, but what I was looking for is the contrast between the dark and this orange here. So you can see how we've got a really good contrast between this dark blue here and the orange here. I don't know that it will be quite as impactful with the light, but you can absolutely experiment and see what comes out. The great thing about this block as well, although I've done a checkerboard effect, you could mix and match all of these squares and see what you come up with. So just play and experiment, have fun with it. So I've got this layout here, and all you're going to do now is sew this together as a standard 9-patch block. That's what we're going to do to start with. I won't show you in this video because if you look up there, there's a link to a video I recorded on that exact subject of how to sew a 9-patch together. So if you're going to sew that along with me, go to that video, sew this up as a basic 9-patch, and I'll meet you back here and I'll show you what to do next. So we've sewn our 9-patch together in our checkerboard effect with the orange sitting in the middle, which will give us this pop of colour that you can see over on our disappearing 9-patch block here. So how do we turn that into that? What we are going to do is get our ruler. Now this size here is now going to be 4.5 inches, and you can check it to measure it if you want to do that. So that's 4.5 inches across there. So we want to find the halfway point, which is going to be 2.25 inches. So whatever size you're starting off with, once it is stitched together, you want to calculate where the midpoint is. And that's easy just to get that measurement and divide in half. So on this particular sizing, it is 2.25. So I'm going to get the 2.25 ruler, and I'm going to find my quilting ruler. I'm going to get my 2.25 inch line. I'm going to put the 2.25 inch line down this left hand seam here. Okay, so let me just do that again. So along this seam here, we're going to put the 2.25 inches. This is because 2.25 is the halfway point on this particular square. Make sure that that line the 2 1/4 inch measurement is lining up on that seam line all the way down to the bottom. And if it isn't, just give it a little tug and adjustment. If that is sitting nicely on the seam, I'm going to cut along there. I know it's scary, but trust me. So we're going to cut up that middle there. Take the ruler away and we're going to carefully turn it around. So if you have to do it in 2 bits like I did just then, carefully make sure that you match up all the seams. You don't want any wobbly bits. And if I'm happy with that, it's all lined up in the right place, I'm going to do the same thing again. So 2 1/4. Okay, so 2 1/4 down this left hand seam line here, all the way down to the bottom. And if I'm happy with that, I'm going to cut up the middle. All right, and if I separate these out slightly, you can now see that we've got these little squares that are on the disappearing 9 patch over on the left. And then we are simply going to turn these 2 squares around. For this particular design here, I've turned these 2 squares around 180 degrees. So if I turn that round like that and turn that round like that, can you see how that comes together? So this is the one that has been sewn, and this is the one that we have just cut together. Now you want to be careful when you do this, because it is very easy to basically lose the plot and lose where you are. So take it slowly and really make sure that you know where everything is, and if you need to, take a photograph of this as it is now so that you can refer back to it if you get a bit lost. So all we are simply going to do now is sew those 2 halves together. So I'm going to sew those 2 halves together and those 2 halves together. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm not going to show you the sewing because that's easy peasy. It's just a straight seam down this right hand side here. Okay, but we're going to go and do that, and I'll meet you back here in a moment. So we're back and we've sewn the 2 rows, if you like, together, and I've pressed the seams to the dark side. Same rules as normal. I've pressed them over to this coloured side here so that those seams nest when we sew this centre seam. So the next thing I'm going to do is sew those 2 halves together, but I just want to carefully make sure I match that centre seam. So I'm going to flip that over. Pin. I like to pin my seams when I'm matching them. I'm going to pin that and I'm going to sew down there. So I'll see you back in a moment. All right, so we've stitched the 2 halves together, and if I open it up, we've got nice centre seam match there, and then we've got a second block, and you can see how brilliant these are going to look if we start sewing all of these together. What an amazing effect that is going to be, and you get this diagonal line of all the lights going through, or whatever colours you choose. So I would say absolutely experiment with which way round you turn these, and experiment with your colourways as well. This is patchwork and it's supposed to be fun, so have some fun doing it. But I hope that has helped you to understand the basic disappearing 9 patch. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this video has been helpful, because it really helps the channel reach to more beginners just like you to learn how to do patchwork. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.